There's a car that snarls like a caged animal and leaps with the force of a rocket launch. Now, what if that same machine happens to burst into flames while you are simply cruising down the highway? This is not a scene from an action movie. This is the real story of the 2026 Ford Mustang Dark Horse, a vehicle that has car enthusiasts buzzing and safety experts worried. Some people are even calling it the most dangerous car on the road today. But is that reputation fair, or is it just dramatic storytelling? Have you ever been on a speedboat cutting through waves or a motorcycle roaring down an open road? Now, multiply that feeling by 10. That is what it feels like to sit behind the wheel of the Dark Horse. The standard model already packs a massive V8 engine that shakes the ground when it starts up. It is the kind of car that makes neighbors peek through their blinds and kids point and stare. But Ford decided that was not enough. For 2026, they introduced the Dark Horse SC, and this version is absolutely unhinged. It uses a supercharger to cram extra air into the engine, creating over 800 horsepower. To understand how crazy that is, consider this. Most cars on the road get by just fine with around 200 horsepower. The Dark Horse SC has 4 times that amount, and all of it is sent to the rear wheels only. It is like putting a jet engine on a skateboard and hoping for the best. When a car has this much muscle, it does not forgive mistakes. It amplifies them. A tiny slip of the foot on the gas pedal can send the back end swinging out like a dancer, gone wild. On a racetrack with plenty of room and no trees or guardrails, a skilled driver can handle this. On a public road with potholes, wet leaves, and other drivers who do not expect a car to suddenly spin out, it is a disaster waiting to happen. The Dark Horse does not come with training wheels. It expects the driver to know what they are doing, and it punishes those who do not. But here is where the story gets even stranger. The danger of this car is not just about how it performs when everything is working perfectly. The real shocker is that some of these cars have a hidden flaw that could turn them into torches. Ford had to issue a recall for certain Dark Horse models with manual transmissions because of a problem with the clutch line. This is a hose that carries special fluid to help the driver shift gears. On some cars, this hose was placed way too close to the exhaust system, which gets hot enough to glow red. Over time, the heat can melt the hose. When that happens, brake fluid sprays out onto the hot exhaust. Brake fluid is extremely flammable. You can probably picture what comes next. There is at least one confirmed case where this actually happened. A person in Maryland was driving their brand new 2026 Dark Horse on the highway when smoke started pouring out from under the hood. By the time they pulled over, the engine compartment was fully engulfed in flames. The car was nearly destroyed. Ford did step up and reimburse the owner, and they recalled all the affected cars to fix the problem. But the fact that such a dangerous mistake made it into production is enough to make anyone think twice. And the recalls do not stop there. Another issue involves the engine cylinder head, which is a major component that helps control the flow of air and fuel. On some Dark Horse engines, this part was manufactured incorrectly. It has a defect that allows oil to leak out. Oil leaks are bad news for 2 reasons. First, oil on a hot engine can also cause a fire. Second, if the engine loses too much oil, it can seize up and stop working entirely. Imagine your engine dying. At 70 miles per hour on a busy interstate, the power steering goes out. The power brakes go out. You are suddenly fighting a heavy machine with nothing but your own muscle power while traffic whizzes past. This is not a fun game. This is a genuine safety crisis. Even when the engine is running smoothly and nothing is on fire, the Dark Horse has other quirks that make drivers uncomfortable. Some reviewers have noticed a strange vagueness in the steering. When the car is going straight, the steering wheel feels loose and unconnected, like it is not sure where the front wheels are pointed. This is called a dead spot, and it is unsettling, because a driver wants to feel connected to the road. To make matters worse, the car's own computer system seems to notice this problem. The car has a feature that watches the driver to make sure they are paying attention. Because the steering feels so vague, the computer sometimes gets confused and thinks the driver has taken their hands off the wheel. A warning message flashes on the screen saying, "Put your hands on the wheel," but the driver's hands are already there. This is distracting and annoying, and it makes the driver lose confidence in the car. A car should never make its driver feel like they are fighting against it just to go straight. Even if you avoid fires and steering problems, there is still the question of whether the car can handle the punishment that owners want to give it. A well-known car review team at Edmunds had a long-term Dark Horse for testing. They decided to add a Ford Performance Supercharger, which is a kit sold by Ford to make the car even faster. During a track day, pushing the car hard, something went terribly wrong. It turned out that the spark plugs were not gapped correctly. Spark plugs have a tiny gap that electricity jumps across to create the spark that ignites the fuel. If the gap is wrong, the spark plug misfires. In this case, the misfires caused unburnt fuel to be pushed out of the engine and into the hot exhaust system. That fuel ignited inside the exhaust, destroying the oxygen sensors and the catalytic converters. Those are expensive parts, costing thousands of dollars to replace. Now, this happened on a modified car, but it shows how delicate this machine can be. It is like a champion athlete who is incredibly strong but also prone to injury if pushed too hard. Why would anyone want a car that seems so high maintenance and risky? This is the million-dollar question. The answer lies in the way the Dark Horse makes people feel. It is raw, it is loud, it is unapologetically aggressive. In a world where so many cars have become quiet, efficient, and filled with screens and computers, the Dark Horse is a throwback. It is a dinosaur stomping through a world of hybrids and electric vehicles. One reviewer described it as a T-Rex crashing a vegan dinner party, gloriously out of place and impossible to ignore. For people who love driving, who love the feeling of the engine rumbling through the seat and the exhaust note bouncing off walls, this car is pure magic. It talks to you, it challenges you, it makes you feel alive. But that magic comes with a price. The Dark Horse demands respect. It is not a car for someone who just got their license last week. It is not a car for someone who texts while driving or fiddles with the radio at stoplights. It demands focus, it demands skill, and it demands that the driver understands the risks. Where does this leave the 2026 Ford Mustang Dark Horse in the grand scheme of things? It is a paradox. It is dangerous, yes, but it is also beautiful. It is flawed, but it is also thrilling. It is a car that forces the driver to pay attention, to be present, to actually drive. In a world where cars are increasingly driving themselves, there is something oddly refreshing about a machine that refuses to be tamed. It is a reminder that driving used to be an adventure, not just a way to get from point A to point B. The Dark Horse carries that spirit, for better or worse. It is a rolling thunderstorm, beautiful to watch from a distance but capable of doing real damage up close. And that, in the end, is what makes it so unforgettable. If this video got your heart racing even a little, smash that like button and subscribe so you do not miss the next deep dive. And hey, if you know someone who dreams about owning a Mustang, send this their way. They need to know what they are getting into. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.